everybody. I thought I would take a couple minutes and just talk a little bit about my story of dealing with PCOS. A lot of people have two different responses when they hear that I have PCOS. The first response is, you have what? What's PCOS? And is it contagious? Can I get it? And then the other option is people go, oh my gosh, I know either A, I have it, or I totally know somebody and that totally sucks. And then it's a story opener and people start talking about how PCOS affects their life and the lives of other people around us. So first of all, let's explain what PCOS is. PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So for all of you boys on there, she just talked about her ovaries. How scary. But in reality, what is PCOS? So I'm going to read a quick definition on, the ever so trusted WebMD, because we all know that when you are sick, you go to WebMD to figure everything out. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is a problem in which women's hormones are completely out of balance. It causes problems with your periods and make it difficult to get pregnant. PCOS can also cause many unwanted changes in a way that in the way that you look, including your abdomen. If it isn't treated over time, it can lead to serious health problems such as diabetes and heart disease. And there's a lot of options that you can talk about. If you go online, you can look up what PCOS is. The interesting thing about it was I was diagnosed with PCOS about 5 years ago when we found out that I had a major cyst on my ovary that needed immediately removal. We found out about it on a Saturday and I had surgery that following Thursday. Because it was causing parts of my body to turn and get twisted and all of those wonderful things. And so I found that out the hard way. Turns out that really I had all the warning signs. I had all the warning symptoms. And my mom and I were kind of chatting and we both laughed because in hindsight, if we kind of wish we had figured it out earlier because all the signs were there. When I grew up, I was a petite little thing. I was pretty tiny. But when I hit that puberty level, and the big changes that happened in the end of middle school, beginning of high school, I went from being a petite little active thing to being always the big girl. And most of my life since then, I have been the big girl. If you looked at my friends in college, they were all smaller than me. They were all thinner than me. They were all shorter than me. So I was the girl who carried all the weight around my abdomen. And I remember the first time when I think it was about 12 when it started slowly changing. And one of my girlfriends looked at me, and granted, we must have been 12 years old, maybe even younger. She goes, "Are you pregnant? Because the way that you carry your weight on your stomach." And it was all right here in my core. And ever since then, it hasn't gone away. And so for me, PCOS caused a lot of irregularity as being a female. We won't get into the dirties, the basics of it. It also caused a lot of abdominal weight gain, excessive hair. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I had a lot of arm hair. I have a lot of thick hair around my head, and then sometimes I jokingly call it my beard will grow in. It does cause a bunch of issues with abnormal weight gain and the inability to be able to lose weight, unlike when most people. So through high school, I would play 2 to 3 varsity sports a year, and I wasn't losing weight. I just continued to gain weight. Through college, it continued irregularity for just being a woman, some issues that came from that. It wasn't until we realized, yes, you like my beard, Dana? I can grow it out and paint it like you if you'd like. But it wasn't until about 4 or 5 years ago I had that major surgery that we started tracking this. And I started to do a bunch of research to find out all the hormonal imbalance. And everyone gets scary when you say hormones. Oh, hormones, I don't want to talk about it. Guys, it's not that big of a deal. Means that parts of my body are firing and miscuing each other. And it turned out that I also were starting to have pre-signs of, not pre-diabetes yet, but starting to get there with insulin resistance and insulin issues. And what was actually happening was I had cortisol levels that were starting to really affect the way that my body reacted. If I was in an emergency, my cortisol was not going to be allowing me to be able to respond back. For example, when I had surgery for that first time, it took me almost 8 hours to get out of recovery. The more normal person, 45 minutes, they're back to being able to talk, and within an hour, they're back out after that. It took me 6 hours to be able to get out of a day surgery recovery. And ever since then, most of my surgeons, I always try to tell them ahead of time, hey, you need to know. Well, my story ended up getting a lot more serious and a lot more dark throughout the years with my PCOS. Up until the point of about 2 years ago, when it turned out to be that I had what we're pretty confident in a 6-week miscarriage. It was the first time that my body started responding in a form of me potentially being pregnant. It was too early for detection, but everything else was there. And when the miscarriage ultimately happened, the aftermath of how my body handled it was followed step by step with everybody else's miscarriages. And opening up those doors, the exciting thing, if you want to say exciting, was I got the opportunity to go to Mass General and really meet with the experts to talk about what was happening with my PCOS. And turns out I had a pretty interesting, I don't know, women's section, if you want to call it. And if you ever want to look into more information, I have a pretty funny blog on some of it. You can go to aquafitkate.com. That's my blog, and you can see my journey through finding out I was a unicorn, what being a unicorn means, having to go through all the procedures post my miscarriage, how to be able to handle that. We went from at one point finding out that if I ever was to get pregnant again, it could kill me. How exciting. And how I transformed from that, then being able to do some surgery, figure some things out. I'm no longer in danger of being able to have kids, but I'm still at this point not sure I'm going to be able to have kids. It just kept pointing back down to, though, that PCOS, the doctors don't have necessarily an answer for it. And every time I speak with, and I'm talking the elite of Mass General is one of the top hospitals in the country, and I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing doctors who specialize specifically in women's health and polycystic ovarian syndrome. And the answer has always been, Katie, the very first thing you need to do is lose weight. And I looked at them many times in tears and would say, that's really easy for you to say, but how do you lose weight if you have polycystic ovarian syndrome? Because if you have PCOS, you gain weight constantly. Everything you do adds weight to your core. And he goes, I know it's a vicious battle. You've got to figure out something that can make this happen. So that was the fall of 2014. And that particular year, my husband and I, at that point, started to sign on to say that we were going to look into adoption. We had started the adoption process. We knew that I just wasn't willing to take a risk for fertility treatments, just for the idea that it was going to cost us so much money, and it would be a really, really slim chance. And they said if I was to get pregnant, I was going to have to be put on red flagged alert, and then I would probably be bed rest within the first 2 or 3 months. And the likelihood that it could either A, kill me, or B, the baby would die. It just didn't seem to me like that was something that I wanted to do. And so to us, that was God opening the door to us to say, there are so many children out there who need love. And so that's what we did. We started the adoption process. And then that's where really my fitness journey had begun. Was around that time I had hit my max of 250 pounds. I had thought to myself that I looked fine. It really wasn't a big deal. And then I would see videos of myself and go, oh my gosh, I'm at almost a size 20 wide waist. I'm only 5'7", and I was 250 pounds. And at that point, I started to panic because the process is, they said it's just to lose weight, right? But with polycystic ovarian, it's all around that core. And that's where my fitness journey began. I met my new and really good friend now, Jillian Kaplan, who was a Beachbody coach, and she just said, you want to give it a try? And I tried Shakeology, and I thought, let's see how it is. And in that first month with the first challenge that I tried, as simply as a customer, I lost 10 pounds. And within those first 10 pounds, I started to see some changes in my own body. I started seeing my acne clear up. And acne as an adult, that's glorious, but acne is a sign of hormonal imbalance. And hi, Gareth. How is going over in Wales? Sorry, people from overseas are saying hi. And I started noticing that different parts of things were changing in my body as, yes, losing weight is starting to help that PCOS. And I did a lot of research. There's the PCOS diet. There's the hormone reset diet. I strongly recommend anybody with PCOS that you read those. They're phenomenal books. They start to teach you about eating clean. And as I began this process of learning how my body reacts to food, what I cannot eat, even though I really want to, knowing how to take care of myself as a woman, but also knowing as a wife and as somebody who is a full-time career woman, how to be able to handle the stress hormones that happen out there, that became the journey. I fell in love with the fitness programs that Beachbody had to offer. We all know that I ended up signing on as a coach because I loved it. It was simply asking people to join me for 30 days to work out and try this product that was changing me from the inside out. I got a question last week from somebody who was kind of interested in the whole Shakeology thing. And again, I don't want to be an advertisement for it. Like, I'm not sitting here being like, buy, 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 buy. I'm telling you because I went to a restaurant and have found a steak that I loved. And when you find a steak that you love, you tell somebody about it, right? Well, for me, that's the deal. I'm sharing you with my story. And hi, Deanna, how are you? I started noticing changes in my body. I started noticing that my body was slowly becoming regular. And the weight has slowly started to trickle down and down and down, where the 30 years beforehand was not an option for my PCOS. I guess it wasn't 30 years. I guess I didn't start till I was 12, but 22 years of being overweight and 22 years of having core issues and 22 years of trying every method under the sun, and knowing that this started changing it. And so this past year I had a follow-up with my doctor, and at that point I had come down 30 pounds, which was a really big deal for me. And I showed him the thing of Shakeology, and we're talking the lead guy from Mass General, and I said, this is what I'm doing. Here's the program. What are your thoughts? And he said, Kate, I can't imagine that this would not work for people with PCOS. And I'm talking the head guy from Mass General who talks in women's health. And so I started the PCOS, I continued on with the Shakeology. I'm continuing to eat clean, and there's different parts, but it can happen, and you guys can lose weight. This past 9 weeks, I've been doing this launch program of Core to Force, and it's earth-shattering. And guys, in my first 30 days, I lost 12 pounds and 15 inches, and like 7 of those inches were around my core. Like, mind blown. Last week, I fit into a pair of pants that I haven't worn since high school, and I'm starting to see the transformation to happen. So the reason I came on here is to simply say, if you have PCOS, it can be battled. It is a big deal here for women in the United States because guess what? We have an obesity crisis. If you find that you have insulin-resistant issues, pre-diabetes, diabetes, onset, well, guess what? It can be taken care of by what we eat and what we do with our bodies. And so, guys, I just challenge you, if you feel like you are at ends meet, you look at it and go, I've got 200 pounds to lose. Don't look at the 200 pound. Look at what you can do in 1 week. Look at what small changes you can make. I'll do this journey with you because I promise you it has been a journey and a half. And I get to weigh in this week, and I'm really nervous because it's been a really stressful month, but I'm also really excited to know that I am getting closer and closer. I'm almost in the 100s again. I haven't been in the 100s since I was 17 years old. Can I even tell you how emotional that makes me? Here I am almost about to cry. But I am not letting PCOS define me as a woman. I am not letting it define me as someday as a mom. And whether I adopt or whether I end up being able to have the opportunity of biological children, it doesn't matter. PCOS is not going to define who I am. So my challenge to you guys is take the challenge with me. Come and join me for 1 month. Go all in, try one program. Try the bottom of the bag guarantee with Shakeology. I'm telling you, my doctor from Mass General for Women's Health said every ingredient in there he approves of, and he wishes that more people would try it. I don't know what much more of a stamp of approval you can get. Every month I'm running a challenge, guys. If you are scared of the risk, well, guess what? They have a bottom of the bag guarantee. If you don't like it at the end of 4 weeks, you return it, you get your money back. Seriously, there's no risk in it. For men, if you are having type 2 diabetes, if you're having pre-diabetes, I'm telling you, this could save your life or your foot or the way that your body responds to major sores, ulcers. So that's it, guys. I am so excited to continue to share. If you want to learn more about my story, you can reach it out at aquafitkate.com. My blog has, this past 2 years or so, blogging about our adoption journey, suffering with PCOS, conquering PCOS, where I have struggled with weight loss, where I've struggled in my work, anything along those lines. Guys, I'm so thankful for all the shout outs. I'm seeing a lot of positive feedback on this live feed. I am going to post this up on my YouTube when I'm done. If you have any questions, hit me up. Last thing, hey, there's like 10 programs on sale right now that are like $10 only. So I'm looking for 5 people to join me. So if you want to be one of those 5 people, guess what? I'm willing to give you a program for free. Hit me up below if you're interested. We'll see what we can do to start changing your life. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.